On the night of January 2, 2026, just after 10 p.m., the city of Caracas was suddenly and violently thrust into chaos. What began as a quiet evening was shattered by a series of deafening explosions that echoed across the city, lighting up the skyline with ominous orange flashes. Residents, startled from their routines, rushed to windows and balconies trying to make sense of the chaos unfolding before their eyes. Within minutes, social media platforms exploded with frantic posts and videos. People reported seeing military aircraft flying dangerously low over the city, their engines roaring as more explosions erupted in the distance. The night sky was intermittently illuminated by bursts of light, and the sound of sirens quickly followed. Hashtags about Caracas trended worldwide as millions tried to piece together what was happening in real time. Key government and military districts appeared to be the main targets. Several buildings were soon engulfed in flames, and large sections of the city were plunged into darkness as power grids failed. Emergency services, overwhelmed by the scale of destruction, struggled to reach affected areas. Fires raged unchecked in some neighborhoods, while terrified citizens gathered in the streets, unsure where to turn for safety. Confusion and panic reigned. Was this the beginning of a coup, a catastrophic accident, or a coordinated attack, from within or outside the country? Newsrooms scrambled to verify information, while rumors and speculation spread faster than facts. Unverified claims flooded the internet. Some insisted the presidential palace had been directly hit, while others pointed to military barracks and intelligence headquarters as primary targets. The lack of clear information only fueled the uncertainty and fear gripping the city. With no official word from the government, a vacuum of information formed. In this silence, fear and wild speculation filled the void. Families huddled together in the dark, relying on their phones for any scrap of news, while rumors of further attacks and possible martial law spread rapidly. The world watched in shock and disbelief as the events in Caracas unfolded. International news outlets broke into regular programming, broadcasting live footage and updates. People everywhere waited anxiously for answers as Caracas entered a new dangerous and uncertain chapter in its history. The first images of the crisis came from citizens' smartphones. Viral videos showed fireballs near the Fuerte Tiuna military complex and military aircraft streaking across the sky before explosions. Eyewitnesses described buildings shaking, power outages, and terrified families hiding from windows. Journalists confirmed military roadblocks and strategic strikes on infrastructure. The attacks were precise and rapid, suggesting a coordinated operation. Amid the flood of real footage, misinformation also spread, complicating efforts to verify the truth. Our teams worked overnight to confirm multiple significant explosions targeted Caracas's military and infrastructure. The human toll remained unknown, but the destruction was undeniable. The crisis, already simmering with tension, erupted into a full-blown international emergency when, less than 2 hours after the devastating blasts rocked Caracas, U.S. President Donald Trump took to Truth Social. In a post that instantly went viral, he declared, "At my direction, the United States military has conducted a successful precision strike in Venezuela." The world was stunned. The message, terse yet explosive, sent shockwaves through governments, newsrooms, and households across the globe. Social media feeds lit up with speculation, disbelief, and urgent questions. Was this the beginning of a new era in U.S. foreign policy, or a dangerous escalation with unpredictable consequences? The post continued, "Nicolás Maduro is in our custody. The tyranny is over." With those words, President Trump claimed not only a military victory, but the capture of one of the world's most controversial leaders. The implications were staggering. If true, this would mark the end of Maduro's regime and a dramatic shift in Venezuelan politics. But the world was left reeling, unsure whether to believe such a bold announcement. Within minutes, the White House scrambled to confirm the president's post. Officials hastily organized a press briefing, reiterating that Maduro had indeed been apprehended and was being held in a secure, undisclosed location. The administration insisted that the operation had been swift, precise, and successful, and that the Venezuelan people were now free from tyranny. Yet despite these confident statements, no evidence was provided to support the extraordinary claims. There were no photos, no videos, no independent confirmation, just words. This glaring lack of proof immediately fueled skepticism, not only among journalists, but also among foreign governments and the public at large. News anchors and analysts debated the credibility of the announcement, while social media users demanded transparency and accountability. In Miami, where a large Venezuelan exile community had long hoped for Maduro's ouster, celebrations erupted in the streets. People waved flags, cheered and embraced, believing that liberation had finally arrived. But in diplomatic circles the mood was far more cautious. Ambassadors and analysts gathered in urgent meetings, expressing concern over the lack of concrete evidence and the potential fallout from such a dramatic move. The credibility of the U.S. administration now hung in the balance. With the world watching, every word and action was scrutinized. Political analysts on live television debated whether this was a masterstroke of strategy or a reckless gamble that could backfire on the global stage. Military experts, meanwhile, warned of the dangers inherent in making such a monumental claim without verifiable proof. They cautioned that, if the announcement proved false or exaggerated, it could undermine U.S. credibility, destabilize the region, and provoke unpredictable responses from allies and adversaries alike. Newsrooms around the world went into overdrive. Journalists scrambled to verify the story, reaching out to sources in Caracas, Washington, and beyond. International correspondents delivered live updates, while satellite trucks lined up outside major media headquarters, all racing to separate fact from assertion in a rapidly evolving situation. Two competing narratives quickly emerged. In Caracas, chaos reigned, streets filled with smoke, crowds and confusion as rumors spread like wildfire. Meanwhile, in the United States, officials projected confidence, repeating their claims of victory and justice. News coverage split between the turmoil on the ground in Venezuela and the bold, unsubstantiated statements from Washington. Around the world, people watched with bated breath. The stakes had never been higher. In this moment of uncertainty, the truth remained elusive, and the consequences potentially historic. In this crisis, facts matter more than ever. What's confirmed: multiple powerful explosions in Caracas, widespread blackouts, and a visible military response. Eyewitnesses and video footage support these events. The sound of military aircraft and the deployment of troops are verified. What remains unproven? The U.S. claim that Maduro is in custody. No independent source or evidence has confirmed this. The attribution of the attack is also contested. Was it the U.S., an internal coup, or another actor? Our commitment report only what we can prove and keep the distinction clear. After hours of tense, uneasy silence, Venezuela's government finally broke its quiet. The world had been holding its breath, waiting for a response as rumors and speculation swirled across social media and news outlets. The air was thick with uncertainty, and every minute that passed without an official statement only deepened the sense of crisis. Then, Vice President Delcy Rodriguez appeared live on state television, flanked by stern-faced military leaders. Her voice was resolute as she addressed the nation, forcefully denying the reports of President Maduro's capture. She called the U.S. claim a criminal lie, accusing Washington of spreading misinformation to destabilize Venezuela. The government, she insisted, remained firmly in control, and Maduro was safe, though she offered no evidence or appearance from the president himself. Rodriguez went further, blaming the recent explosions and chaos on U.S. aggression. She declared a nationwide state of emergency, ordered the immediate closure of all borders, and announced the full mobilization of the Bolivarian militia. Military vehicles rolled through city streets, checkpoints sprang up overnight, and the country braced for further unrest. State media quickly shifted into overdrive, broadcasting patriotic messages and urgent calls for unity. Nationalistic imagery filled TV screens, urging citizens to rally behind the government and resist foreign interference. Yet despite the flood of official messaging, one thing was conspicuously absent: President Maduro himself. Officials claim Maduro's absence was a necessary security precaution, but his continued invisibility only fueled rumors and speculation. Outside government buildings, journalists and citizens alike waited anxiously for any sign of the president, while security forces kept a tight perimeter. The information war intensified. On one side, the U.S. insisted it had evidence of Maduro's capture, but offered no proof. On the other, Venezuelan officials insisted the president was safe, but also failed to provide concrete evidence. Both narratives clashed on global airwaves, leaving the truth shrouded in uncertainty. What began as a sudden attack had now escalated into an open standoff. The streets of Caracas were tense, with military vehicles and armed forces visible at every turn. The city and the nation stood on edge, uncertain of what the next hours might bring. Around the world, Governments, diplomats, and ordinary people watched the unfolding crisis with growing anxiety. In newsrooms, public squares, and diplomatic halls, all eyes were on Venezuela, bracing for what might come next in this high-stakes confrontation. The world reacted swiftly and sharply. Colombia put its military on alert and called for regional talks, warning against unilateral U.S. action. Cuba, Russia, and China condemned the U.S., calling the strike an act of aggression and demanding UN intervention. European leaders urged restraint and verification, fearing regional destabilization. The UN Secretary-General pleaded for de-escalation and respect for sovereignty. The international community was deeply divided, with many alarmed by the precedent of a strike and the unverified claim of Maduro's capture. Diplomacy was now the world's last hope to contain the crisis. As of January 3rd, the situation remains volatile and uncertain. Verified, multiple explosions, power outages, and military mobilization in Caracas. Unverified, the U.S. claim of Maduro's capture. No evidence has surfaced. Venezuela denies the claim, but hasn't shown Maduro in public. Years of U.S.-Venezuela hostility set the stage for this escalation. The world is fractured, fearing a wider conflict. The truth about Maduro's fate will determine whether this crisis escalates or de-escalates. Our mission: keep pushing for facts, clarity, and accountability as the world waits for answers.